Way to go. Keep it going. Good job, guys. All right, Paul. I see you. All right, Charles. Finish on. Coach Carl.
Good job, guys. Coach Carl, we love you!
Hey there, how are we? It's the second day of spring, so I just thought I'd pop on. I'll do a quick live just to say g'day and say welcome to the change of seasons. Not that you would have thought that at 5 o'clock this morning when Sharon and I got up and went for our morning walk, it was 9 degrees. So we still had our gloves and our beanies on. So you'd like to think that spring's just around the corner, even though from a date perspective here in Australia, it's actually here. So I hope all the fathers out there that get a chance to watch this had a great Father's Day. Fancy having the first day of spring and Father's Day together. That's pretty awesome, I think. Hey, look, we are seeing a change of season, and so here in Australia, we're moving towards summer. We're moving towards the, daylight saving starts to hit in some of our southern states. We move towards having more daylight hours. And from a business perspective, we move towards that busy scene, that busy time that we know as Christmas. So if you're in the retail game, of course, you know all about Christmas and peak season for tourists and holidays, etc., etc. So today is really just about how are you gearing up personally for this change of season? How are you using spring to springboard into what we know as our busy time here in Australia? How are you gearing up, both personally and from a business perspective, for the business time? So I just thought I'd pop in, I'd do a Facebook Live, and I'm thinking I might do this every day, at least every working day of the time period that we've got during September, as we use this as a bit of a launching pad to make the most of what we can achieve during our busy periods, because so many people get caught up in just being busy, don't they? And we lose sight of the reality of what we have that can help us be a little bit more smoother as we go through. Hey, Julie, nice to see that you've joined. Good. I hope you're going well. So the planning that we can do as we move into these busy times can really help us and when the stresses of the busy time start to hit. So first up, I just want you to think about it from a personal point of view. So how are you gearing up for, the extended daylight hours? I know some people that coming out of the retail industry, I know that those extended daylight hours were sometimes taken up being in the store. And but how can you gear up personally? Are you active enough to take advantage of those extended daylight those daylight hours, the time that we can spend outside, the time that we can be active, we can take our dogs for walks, we can go for walks with our partners, we can go for a run, we can go for a walk. For those people lucky enough, can go for a walk along the beach. So are you ready for that? Are you active enough? Are you healthy enough? And what can you do during the month of September to help you get ready to take advantage of those daylight hours? So that extended time, that beautiful time that we have pre-dawn when we can watch the sun come up. I think there's still no better sight in the world than to see the sunrise. But also those extended sunset hour time. So we can normally finish work if you're in a career, or we can finish work if we're in our own business, and make use of that extended daylight time of an evening to go spend some time down at the park, at the beach, whatever it is. So how are you personally ready to go? How are you ready to take advantage of that extended time? And from a business perspective, what have you done to structure your marketing around, spring and busy peak season? So what have you done with your marketing to help you with that? Have you pre-ordered what it is that you're thinking that you'll be selling? Have you had a look at what the demand was last Christmas? and factoring in an expected increase or an expected decrease, whatever that is for your business. Have you got the required stocks? Is there some new trend items that are coming in line that are going to take the world by storm? Have you done that planning? And what does that look like from a marketing perspective? So have you got your marketing organized? Have you got your Facebook advertising? Have you got your Facebook, your Google, all that digital stuff? And are you looking still for traditional media? Because traditional media is consistently starting to create a bit more of a value assessment, especially radio advertising. I'm starting to hear of many clients that are having some really fantastic wins in relation to radio advertising. So just a quick one today. As I said, I'm thinking I might do this every day for the month of September, just to help you use this time period as we're moving into that change of seasons, to help you make the most of what we know is going to be a busy time coming into our summer, our tourist season here in Australia, and our Christmas time. Let's face it, Christmas is usually fairly hectic, especially if you're in the process of selling products. So I hope you're all well. I hope that you're really going to enjoy this second day of spring, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye. It's Coach Curl here. Welcome, and I hope you're having a great day. Today is the third day of spring, and a little bit warmer this morning. It was 10 degrees when Sharon and I went out for our 5 o'clock walk. So, but it's going to be an amazingly beautiful day. So that, I love spring. I love this time of year, and it just opens up opportunities for us personally. It opens up opportunities for us to really have a look inside and have a dig around inside us to see where it is that we can go forward. So today I just wanted to touch base and talk a little bit about the spring clean. Change of season is always a good time to really have a look at some of the debris that's accumulating in our lives. And I mean that in the nicest possible way. Some of the debris that is accumulating in our life, in our business, or maybe even your career. And for us to be able to reflect inwards, to be able to jettison that out of our lives, and to be able to move on from that is a really important aspect of what we do here during the spring clean, the September, the spring that we want you to have within your life and your career. Now, we've always accumulated debris from our past, whether that's physically, in old mementos, memories, etc., or whether it's physically or mentally, we can accumulate debris. And having a spring clean helps us clear space for the better things that we want to have in our life, So now, as you know, I'm a John Maxwell coach, and John constantly talks about our ability and our need and our desire to be able to say no to things. He challenges us constantly for us to be able to say no. No to those things that may sound good, that may appear to be an opportunity, because what John's saying is we need to be able to say no to the good to make room for the great. So no to the good to make room for the great. Now, it's easier to declutter when things are toxic or poisonous. We know that. But even then, that can be difficult, because the person that may be poisonous to us in our life or our business or our career may be indeed someone that's really close to us, maybe a family member, maybe a partner. And so it's still challenging to be able to declutter people or things out of our life that are toxic or poisonous to us. It's challenging to do that, but it's easier to jettison something that's toxic or poisonous than it is to actually get rid of something that may actually be good. And that sounds a little bit counterintuitive, doesn't it? To actually get rid of some of the good things to make way for the great. Because sometimes we have a lot of good things in our lives, but we've got the potential within our business, our lives, our relationships to be absolute, to have something fantastic, to have something great. And that's why we need to at least be looking at, what's poisonous, and what's just simply good and maybe not going to get much better from that. Because that gives us that opportunity to be able to reflect inwards and to be able to say, yeah, well, maybe I can start moving away from whatever that particular thing is that we want to do. It's challenging, and Maxwell also talks about the law of sacrifice. Now, the law of sacrifice is to go up, we have to give up. Once again, sounds really counterintuitive. When we want to go up, we have to give up. Because ultimately, you can't have everything. You can't still have the friends you had in grade 3 at primary school if you actually want to, as you've moved on through life, it's very rare that those same friends that you had in grade 3 are the friends that are around you now. So at one stage or at one point in your life, you parted ways. And sometimes it's really hard to pinpoint when exactly that happened with some people. But ultimately, that happens. To go up, we have to give up. I'll talk a little bit more about the law of sacrifice tomorrow because it is a really critical understanding if you do want to actually go out there and chase the great. So think about that. So I'll be back on tomorrow to talk a little bit more about the law of sacrifice. But if you want to build better, if you want to grow your business, if you want to become a better leader, you want to be a more loving partner, something has to give up. Something has to be given up in order for you to be better in those particular things, to invest your time. So as we know, we live in a pretty time-poor society. We're constantly distracted by these things that are in our pockets. So something has to be given up for us to be able to invest our time in becoming better in whatever it is that we want to get better at. It could be just simply being a better partner, better husband, better wife, better partner. Whatever that is, it still requires an investment, so something's got to be given up. So that may be watching footy on a Saturday night. That may need to be given up so that you can have a date night with your partner. So really simple concept. So what does that look like for you? Something has to be given up in order for you to be to invest your time. So it's spring clean time. So think about a couple of questions. What's dead and needs to be pruned, right? What is good but maybe won't get better? And where do you need to focus in your life to make room for the great? Spring clean time. So tomorrow I'm going to be on a little bit later. I'm actually got the privilege of being the moderator for a Q&A session with the Lord Mayor of Brisbane at a business breakfast at West End. So I'm really excited, really looking forward to that. But when I do get on, I'm going to share a little bit more around the law of sacrifice. Until then, I hope you have an amazing day. It looks like it's going to be an incredible day. I hope you can get outside, enjoy this lovely spring weather. Don't forget the golden rule. Don't be an arsehole. I'll see you tomorrow.
Hey there, how are we? It's Tony here, and once again, look at how good is this? I'm just tapping in live, a little bit later than what I thought I would be, so but I'm now just up here on the Sunshine Coast. I'm up here at Alexandria Headlands, just about to go off and see a client up here. Had a wonderful morning this morning. I had the pleasure and the privilege of interviewing the Lord Mayor of Brisbane, Councillor Adrian Schrinner, and that was at a global business chamber at West End at the Greek Club. So he spoke about many of the initiatives, and I know that there are a number of people in the group who live in Brisbane. So he spoke about a number of the initiatives that are happening in Brisbane to help aid things like small business, business in general, and also public transport. So for those people that do live in Brisbane, we, like many systems, cities, I guess, out there, have some sort of a challenge on how to get people partaking in public transport and how to get cars off the road, etc., etc. So very informative breakfast, and quite an honour for myself to have the opportunity to interview the Lord Mayor on stage. But it got me thinking, when it really got me thinking that in so many ways these developments, and based along the lines of what we're talking about spring, we're talking about spring clean, we're talking about putting a spring into our step. In some ways, these developments are cursed by some as they change the very character of what we love Brisbane to be. Some of those locales around Brisbane, some of the character housing, but as long as people long for the good old days, and it's really quite relevant that I'm here in Alexandra Headlands at the moment and I'm looking out at some of the longboarders, for example, on the waves out here at the Bluff. I remember the good old days when I was growing up here at Maroochydore, and the times that I'd be out there surfing the Bluff as a youngster. So sometimes we long for the good old days, but I'm pretty certain that in many times the good old days weren't actually as good as what we fondly remember them to be. And there's no doubt that one of the certainties that we have in life is that change will continue to happen. Change will continue to happen. So see, one of the things I thought about this morning, I went to high school in Brisbane. I was at primary school when up here at the Sunshine Coast, but I went to high school in Brisbane, and I used to ride my bike everywhere. I just used to. One of the circuits that I would do when I was at Corinda High, good old Corinda High, is we lived in Chelmer, and I'd do a circuit, and for those people that know Brisbane will understand the circuit. I'd go through Yeronga, through to West End, South Brisbane, come back via the city, go along Corro Drive through Toowong and Indooroopilly, and go back home. So it was a really big circuit that I used to do on the pushy. It'd take me about an hour. But there's no way that I would be doing that today, and there's no way that I would want my kids to be doing that, because the traffic has multiplied since those days. And the routes have changed, and there's the danger element has certainly increased. But I guess it just also stems back to that concept that change is inevitable, and it's especially so when we're looking at ourselves, to improve and grow. Now, yesterday I spoke about the law of sacrifice, and I hope that you took something from that. You have to go up, you have to give up. And it's a bit like the infrastructure that was discussed today by Councillor Schrenner, Adrian, that where if we want a better facilities, if we want better public transport, if we want constant growth within the economy, there are some things, unfortunately, that we have to give up. Now, that seems to be like a constant no matter where we are, this concept of if we want to give up, if we want more, we have to let something go. And it's very prevalent to ourselves. So think of your career. From a personal aspect, when I think back to my career, for example, every time I accepted a promotion, it meant that I was giving something up. I was moving on. I was sacrificing something. Now, it may not have felt that at the time, but every time you'd move up a level, you were leaving people behind. Now, you still loved them, you still cared for them, you still in many cases remained friends with them. But you were shifting in your network, and you were moving up. And so in some of the ways to go up, I had to leave people, circumstances, and even places behind. So that's part of this concept of to go up, we have to give up. So think of a career. We when you think of your career, we'll often start at like a base level, and at that base level, you may have a union that represents you. You may have an award rate. You've got a lot of rights. But then as you build your career and go into management, you actually effectively lose some of those rights and gain responsibilities. So once again, it's the concept of the law of sacrifice of work. So if you want to be a leader, if you want to be a manager, if you want to be a CEO, there's no union out there for CEOs. There's no unions out there for sales managers. There's unions out there for sales people, and there's unions out there for retail people and workers and frontline workers. to give them a voice. But as you move up through the chain, you lose those rights to have a union represent you. And in many cases, as your responsibilities grow, your rights decrease. And once again, it's just a constant thing of what this looks like. As we go up, we have to give up. Now, I really want to continue the conversation tomorrow. I'll be on at a much earlier time slot, around 7 o'clock, I'm sort of hoping. I think my coaching calls tomorrow will kick off at or around 7 o'clock in the morning. Sorry, a little bit, I think 9 o'clock in the morning I kick off my coaching calls. So just think about that. If you want your business to grow, if you want your career to grow, what is those facets of your life or your circumstances or even people that you may have to give up to go up? So let's continue the conversation today. Have a great day. I'm certainly very chuffed to be up here in the beautiful Sunshine Coast. I'm just giving you a bit of a run through of what it looks like. Beautiful, beautiful Sunshine Coast. This is Alexandra Headlands. Don't forget the golden rule, everyone. Just don't be an arsehole. Until tomorrow, I'll see you then. Bye.
Good morning. I hope you're fantastic this Thursday morning. I hope that you are structured and you're ready to go to face the day and to have a really great day. Today, well, I'm not on the beach. As you can see, I'm back in my office. And I really want to continue the chat that I've been having in and around the concept around the law of sacrifice. Now, the law of sacrifice is a John Maxwell leadership principle. It comes out of his 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, one of the Bibles of leadership, for want of another word. So, and I've sort of walked through some of the concepts of knowing what to sacrifice, or knowing that we need to sacrifice things like people potentially that may be poisonous or toxic in the current circumstances, or situations or jobs or things like that may have impacted you negatively. And sometimes the law of concept is all about to go up, we have to give up, and to become the person or have the business or to have the career that you really, really want and potentially really, really deserve. It's all about the law of sacrifice. So to knowing what to sacrifice in order to go up. So to go up, we have to give up. And it's challenging. It's often really challenging to know what it is to let go. But it's also challenging from the concept, if we know what to let go, to actually go ahead and do it. So after all, we are talking about, in some places, people. We are talking about people that we do need to let go, or the security around a certain circumstance, even though that circumstance may be indeed poisonous. But it's about making that choice. It's about making that decision. And sometimes that's challenging and confronting. But today, I really want to apply the law of sacrifice to time. And in a world where we really do believe ourselves to be time poor, and I chose my words carefully there, we do believe that we are time poor. The challenge that we actually face is one of productivity and effectiveness. It's easy to be busy. It's easy to be busy, but it's a little bit more challenging, a little bit more difficult to be effective. And one of the real beliefs that we have is that time is actually finite. And one of our challenges that we have is that we believe we've got plenty of time, but we ultimately don't. We've got an ultimate deadline on our life that will one day come into being, and we will no longer be able to achieve some of the stuff that we want to achieve, whether it's a business idea or a business growth that we're looking for, or whether it is indeed, just some personal goals or ambitions that we have. The other aspect of finite time is that we all have 24 hours a day, and we all have 1,440 minutes a day, every day. But that's it. We don't get any more. So we know that a day is finite. We know that every day is finite. And we talk about the value of time. And once again, I refer back to the belief that we have, the belief that we all have, that we've got plenty of time to achieve our goals. And sometimes we believe that what we do today is only a minuscule amount in chasing our goals or our dreams. In the scheme of things, we tell ourselves that it doesn't really matter a great deal. But ultimately it does. Ultimately it does, because it's what we do today that determines our success for tomorrow and into the future. And as I said, hitting that ultimate deadline, we want to be preferring to be hitting that ultimate deadline, looking at all the things that we'd achieved because of what we did on a day-to-day basis, other than sitting there thinking about all the things that we wanted to do but told ourselves we were too busy to do. And if you really want to know the value of time, think about a couple of things. Think about that person that was pipped for an Olympic gold medal by hundredths of a second. Now, that's pretty valuable. Now, also think about that person if they missed the start. Okay? So that's the value of time. That's the value of time. And that's also the power, I guess, of regret and the hold that regret can have over us. Think about how we feel when we've got a friend or a relative that's got a newborn, and we think about all the potential that this person, this little baby has as they come into the world. But then we don't apply that same thought and process into what it is that we're doing. But also think about that person that's been diagnosed with a terminal disease and they've maybe been given 3 to 6 months to live. Time's valuable, and it's relative as well as powerful, as well as valuable. So always be thinking about time is valuable. Yet we still use words like wasting time, killing time. But ultimately, it's about being effective and being productive. Now, sometimes to be effective and productive, we do need downtime, of course. Now, I'm not saying you structure your 24 hours a day on pursuit of your goals. You do need time to relax and cope with the modern world. But if we don't have a structure in place in relation to what it is that we're chasing, we're really going to struggle to actually achieve what it is that we say that we're chasing. Now, we're all busy, but today it's all about being effective. Time is finite. And yet we waste it so easily. We waste it scrolling through Facebook. We waste it on social media. You may waste it with some people that come into your life, but ultimately they're decisions and calls that you have got to make. But today is a good day for you to reflect back and think about where your time is actually going. And are you effective in achieving what it is that you want to achieve? Now, I really want you to watch tomorrow. Now, I'm doing another live in the morning, and I really want you to watch tomorrow because I'm going to give you access to an amazingly free tool that is going to help you provide some structure into your priorities and some structure into what it is that you're going to be chasing in your life. Absolutely free. Absolutely free. I'm going to talk a little bit more about time. I'm going to talk a lot more about priorities, and I might even throw in the term big rocks. All happening tomorrow, but I'll see you then. But until then, just don't ever forget the golden rule. And if you've read my book, you know what it is. Just don't be an arsehole. I'll see you tomorrow.
Good morning. Good morning. How are we all? It's Friday. It's the first week of September, and we're here for Friday. I hope you've had a great first week of spring here in Australia, and I hope that whatever it is that you're working on, that you're really starting to kick some goals. Now, today during the Facebook Live, I'm going to tell you about an amazing free offer. Yeah, free offer. You don't really have to do too much. You do have to do a little bit to get it. So hang around till the end because I'll share how you can get this free amazing resource and tool for you to help you be more effective and more organized and be able to prioritize more effectively within your life, your business, and your career. So today I want to talk about priorities, and we'll continue this conversation next week as well. So I'll share a couple of different prioritization methods on how you can prioritize to understand what it is that you should be working on. Because as you know, most people are busy, and we wear it as a badge of honor, right? We believe that we're busy and we're just always focused on being busy and being active. Yet most of the time we're not efficient and we're not effective. And we're certainly not working towards what it is that we should be working towards. We're not taking those steps forward to become the person or achieve the goal that we want to be doing. So we know that most people won't achieve their goals and dreams. And, you know, that's a pretty sobering thought when you think about it, that most people won't achieve their goals and dreams. And simply it's because they're unable to prioritize. And often we can't prioritize because we don't really understand what's important. So what is the most important thing that I should be doing with my time right now? What's the most important thing I should be doing today? Often we just don't know what's important. And it's like when we catch up with old friends every now and again. You might see someone out shopping and, oh, we must catch up. Oh, I've just been so busy. Or you're sitting back on a Friday night enjoying that calmness that comes after a week of turmoil at work maybe, and you're thinking, geez, I haven't seen old Fred for a while. The reality is that it's you know, they may be busy, but the reality is that they've got other priorities, right? So if you're not one of their priorities, the reality is that they're probably working on or seeing other people that are more important to them. So, and once again, it's a sobering fact to think about that. It's easy to say we're really busy. You know, if I'm a priority in someone's life, I'm going to make, if I want someone to be a priority in my life, I'm going to make time to invest in that relationship. I'm going to make time to invest to make sure that that relationship stays strong. If that person isn't a priority, yeah, I'll probably leave it to chance, and we'll catch up when we see each other, or we'll see them at network events, etc., etc. So that's one of the concepts of priorities that's really important. It's simply a case of priorities. Everything that we do in life is simply a case of priorities. But remember, most people won't achieve their goals and dreams because they're unable to prioritize. They allow the world to dictate what their days look like, what their days, what their weeks, what their months look like. We just wait for the world to hammer us. You know, we get up in the morning, we check our emails, and we're on the attack immediately based around what's happened. We're reactive to the world. When really, when we understand what's important and we've got our priorities, we set the schedule. We set the schedule. So the first prioritization methodology that I'm going to share with you is one that John Maxwell talks about. It's called the 3 R's. The 3 R's stands for what's required, what gives you greatest return, and what gives you greatest reward. It's a really simple method. You look at your to-do list on an ongoing basis and you set the scene strategically. So you look at the things that you are required to do, number one, the things that only you should be doing. So if you're a business owner, making sure the money's good at the end of the month is probably one of those things that you wouldn't be delegating out, right? It's your responsibility. It's required of you to do the job, right? So it's only those things. So what's required is only those things that only you should be doing. So I have a bit of a joke always when I talk about what's required. What's required for me on a Thursday is to make sure I put the garbage bins out before my wife Sharon comes home from work. It's required because I know that it's part of my job. So I know I have to do it, because if I haven't done it, I know that I'm going to have a little bit of pain there, right? So it's part of my job. It's what's required. I have to do it. And maybe in your relationships and maybe in your family situation, you have those things that only you should be doing. So you do them first. You do them first. Then you look at what gives you greatest return, right? So what gives you the greatest return? So if you're a student, it's studying for the exam or scheduling your study timetable. If you're a business owner, it's picking up the phone, talking to clients, creating leads, all those things. What gives you the greatest return? So it could be a personal, an investment in your time to create some personal satisfaction in and around personal growth or development, or it could be some really strong, hard sales processes. It could be about refining your marketing. It could be all of those things, but you've got to be able to identify what are those activities that I've got to do that will generate my greatest return. So we prioritize first by doing what's required, and then we look at what gives us our greatest return. And then the third aspect is what gives us our greatest reward. And this is where most people get it wrong, because most people get it wrong because they'll do the stuff that gives them the greatest reward first. So if I've got a skill set, for example, and I really enjoy doing that skill set, whatever it may be, I actually quite enjoy doing graphics, right? Now, graphics aren't required in my role. They're certainly not giving me my greatest return. But if I was to schedule them as a priority, doing them first in my business, I'm doing myself and my business a huge disservice. Yes, it's a reward principle. Yes, and because I enjoy doing it, I think I'm not too bad at it. It's part of what I could or should be doing as a reward aspect, right? So that should be last. So we do what's required, we do what gives us greatest return, and we do what gives us the greatest reward. Now, funnily enough, in my business, for example, a lot of the stuff that gives me my greatest return and my greatest reward is also some of the stuff that I have to be doing. So those one-on-one coaching sessions, I can't really say, yes, you're not going to be coached by Tony today. You're going to be coached by school trainee that I've just brought into the business. Wish me luck with that. I'm not going to have much of a business if I just subcontract my coaching services. But it also gives me greatest return, and it also gives me greatest reward. So I know that activity by itself, working with someone one-on-one, or working within a group, is one of those sweet spot activities. So I know that, you know, they are so easy to schedule because they're ticking each box. Greatest reward can also come down to rewarding yourself by having a game of golf once a month with some business colleagues. But you wouldn't put that over and top of if you weren't getting done what was required within your business or what was giving you the greatest reward. So the 3 R's from Maxwell: what's required, what gives you the greatest return, and lastly, what gives you the greatest reward. And that's one of the aspects on how you can start prioritizing. I'm always reminded of Stephen Covey when we talk about priorities, because most people prioritize their schedule, right? So they write down all the list of the stuff that they've got to do, right? And then they prioritize it. Covey talks about scheduling in your priorities. So it's a different flip. But to schedule your priorities, you have to know what's important. So, and that's where most people fail. Hey, look, I told you I had a really great offer, and it's a free offer. And all you have to do is to get one of these is to put a comment under this particular Facebook Live video. Just let me know which one it is that you're wanting. And I've got 2 planners that I want to share with you. One is a business planner, and one is a daily planner to help you get a little bit of structure into your days and into your life. So, and the way that the planners work is that all the hard work's already been done. Now, I have a black and white laser printer. I don't necessarily, if I need color printing, I'll pop on down to the local Officeworks, I guess. But this is what it looks like. You're going to get a Word document that's already formatted for a yearly planner. So there's already like 365 pages like this. Yeah, like this. Now the beauty with this is it's all the hard work's already been done for you. But you can add in, because it's a Word doc, you can add in your own special dates. You can add in your business logo. You can customize it. You know, when I look at this business one, for example, on the page, it's got a general space for your thoughts for the day of what it is that you're wanting to achieve. You've got a prioritization task list. You've got your appointments that you can enter in. But up the top, it's got a motivational quote, and these appear right throughout both of the planners. So if you've got your own motivational quotes, for example, or ones that really resonate, you can add them in because it's a Word document. It's fully customizable. So these are, as I said, think about the value that you're getting within this. Think about the work that's gone into this to format this for a whole year. So both of them provide you an opportunity to write down your priorities on a day-to-day, on a weekly basis. It's fantastic, and I'm happy to send you a copy of either one, whichever one you're wanting. So to get one, all you have to do is put your name, make a comment down below which one you're wanting, whether it's the daily planner or whether it's the business planner, and I will send that to you via Facebook Messenger. Pretty simple. I do ask that you don't share. If you do know someone else that would want one, ask them to join the Academy and hit me up for it. So absolutely free, absolutely free. So think about the value that you've got in that. Think about the ability you've got to customize it, to go off down to, you know, your local printing and stationery shop and print up your yearly planner, or do it in monthly blocks, whichever way feels more comfortable for you. Get yourself a pen and actually use it, you know, because so much research out there tells us that writing stuff down is far better than just enter it into Trello pads or any sort of project management software or app that you've got on your phone. So fantastic. It's available. I hope you all have a great weekend. I know I'm going to have an amazing day today. After this, I'm off to my massage therapist who's going to put some pain into these old legs. This afternoon, I'm lucky enough to be invited to a high tea with the Governor of Queensland, so that should be pretty cool as well. And then this afternoon, the early evening, I'm emceeing the business launch for the Redfest out here in Cleveland, so which is the old Strawberry Festival. So pretty exciting day ahead. Good luck to the Brisbane Lions. It's awesome to see them playing so well. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Don't forget, never forget the golden rule, and you know what it is. It's just don't be an arsehole. I'll see you next week. Bye for now.